Hey, everybody, and welcome to Tears Tulle Talk, a podcast that's dedicated to celebrating women who are showing up from within the struggles of real life to reconnect with their magic. I am so excited to have our most recent Tears Tulle participant, Teagan Hintze, with us today. Teagan, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I am a mom and a wife and a business owner and, just a regular old woman living her life. Let's see. I live in San Francisco, California, like right in the hot spot of this crazy coronavirus pandemic mess. Let's see. I have a crazy 5-year-old who keeps me on my toes 99.9% of the time. I have been divorced and remarried. I have only been married a year, so this has been a new fun adventure for me. And let's see, I've been a business owner for over 5 years now, so a whole bunch of new fun things going on in my life here. So yeah, a little bit about me, I guess. And I'm addicted to Dr. Pepper, sweatpants. I wear them every single day, much to my husband's dismay. And let's see, I read every day. I can't fall asleep without reading something. And dance parties are the cure for everything, literally.
I totally agree with that. So. And I finally bought my own sweatpants during the pandemic because I was stealing my husband so much. He's like, "Are you wearing those again?" I'm like, "Yes, they're so comfortable. I didn't realize what I was missing this whole time."
I know. Yep. They're the best. I'm telling you. For sure.
All right. So I just want to mention for anyone who's just joining us for the first time today, the Tears Tulle movement is a project that follows a rainbow tulle skirt to the homes of 52 women in 52 weeks across the United States and Canada, each woman pairing that beautiful rainbow skirt with something black to show her ability to reconnect with her color from within the harder parts of life. The movement has expanded. There are now Tears Tulle trailblazers and tribes. These are women who are sharing skirts of their own, pairing it with something black and reconnecting with their magic. So just for anyone who's just joining us right now, I want you to know what the movement is all about. Teagan, we like to start each podcast episode out with a Tears Tulle moment. Okay. We're calling those the even when, especially then moments. So again, if you're just joining us for the first time, we say something we like about ourselves, and we say even when something unexpected happens, and then we end with especially then to show that we are always magical even on days we can't feel it. So would you like to share your even when, especially then moment?
Sure. Let's see. I am fearless even when balloons come at me, especially then.
Oh, yes. Ooh, that's awesome.
I'm terrified of balloons. It's a weird irrational fear.
So just regular, like party balloons?
Yep. So it goes back to a childhood, oh my gosh, I want to say I was like 6 or 7 or something like that. I went to a childhood party and the mom had us do, like little balloons were inside of paper bags and we had to pop them with a needle to get like the little paper out to see what the next activity was. It was my turn, stuck the needle inside the bag. It popped. Of course, the popping noise is really super loud as it is anyways, but when I popped it with the needle like went berserkoid and then ended up sticking in my hand. And ever since then, like me and balloons are not friends. So yeah, I'm like, well, so when people are like, "I want to bring you balloons because you're not feeling well," I'm like, "Yeah, you keep the balloons, but you can come visit." So.
Well, I love your even when, especially then. I think it's super down to earth. I know right before we came on live, I was telling you one of mine is the I am brave even when I'm afraid of that sound the crescent tube makes when you like whack it on the counter or you stick a spoon in it, especially then. So I get opening things and then not being what we expect. So.
Right? Yes. I make my husband open those, by the way. I don't do them. I'm like, here you go.
Mine is like evolved. I've gone from like, they want you to stick a spoon in there to open it. I'm like, I'm just going to whack this on something because I'm not getting that close to it with the spoon. So.
Can't you just like send this to me in like a Ziploc bag or like something that I can open with a pair of scissors? Why do I have to hit it and make it explode? Like, no, come on.
Yeah. Oh. Never understood those things.
Me either.
All right. So on that note, on the Tears and Tulle moments of life, I was thrilled to receive your photos and the words that you wrote to accompany them. You know, you talked about coming out of the shadows, and it was just so down to earth and so relatable. And you talked about how you're feeling during the pandemic and how you felt when the skirt arrived and then your experience with it. And I would love to hear about how that was for you. I mean, from the moment that you opened it up and then, you took it to different locations, I'd just love to hear more about that.
Sure. So the week that it arrived, like I mentioned it before, I'm divorced and I share custody with my ex-husband of my 5-year-old son. And so he happened to be away with dad and I was home with my husband, and my husband was at work the day that when the skirt arrived. And I remember it showing up and I was like, this is a really small box for how big she's explaining this skirt is. I'm like, okay, like maybe I didn't fully understand how big the skirt is. Like maybe it's smaller than it really, like in my mind, maybe it's smaller. And I remember bringing it in and my husband pulls up and he's like, is that the skirt? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, let's open it. Let's see how big it is. And I'm like, okay. So we open it up together and it was inside of a plastic bag to like help confine it. And we open the plastic bag and we pull it up and oh my goodness, it opened, when we opened it up, it probably was like 4 times the size of the box. Like it just expanded and took over. And I was like, holy cow, like she wasn't kidding when she said this skirt was big. And he was like, wow, like that's what they want you to take pictures with. And I said, yeah. He was like, all right. And he's like, well, do you know what you want to do? And I was like, oh, I have some ideas of what I want to do. And he was like, all right. We happened to get it on a Friday. And so we decided we were going to wait until the weekend. So the next day I spent some time, like I hung it up and I, straightened out all the layers to try to get it to like lay nice, because it's like just spent like, I don't know, like a week coming in a box, and spent some time with it. And it was interesting. It came on a week that like I had been alone during the day, most of the days, and going through a divorce, like I've been working on unpacking like a whole bunch of emotions and dirty laundry and those feelings. And unfortunately, like going through the divorce, I discovered a lot of things that weren't working for me. I had been playing small. I had, much like the skirt, shoved myself into a little box in effort to make myself look smaller so that he could be the shining star. I walked away from that marriage thinking I wasn't beautiful. I wasn't enough. I wasn't perfect. I got divorced. I had the 5-year-old with me, and I mean, at the time he was 2, but I was like, I'm just going to be single the rest of my life. That's just how, like, I just had accepted that I was just going to be a spinster raising a son on my own. And that was just going to be my life. And, it didn't end up being that way. Obviously I already married and found an amazing man, but I still brought all these like emotions of, I had to play small. I had to be little. I couldn't be this really happy person that I was before all these things happened to me. And like I've been working with a coach and a therapist to try to like unpack these feelings and get them out, because this person, this girl inside of me was like, come on, I'm still here. Like I need to be where I like want to play. Like I don't want to be inside anymore. And it was really interesting because the week it showed up, it happened to be the week that like I was having like the biggest breakthroughs, like the biggest, like I'm naturally like a very sassy person. Like you give me attitude, I'm going to give it back to you like 4 times as strong. Like you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to turn around and be like, oh yeah, well, watch me. Like, so it happened to be the week that like all this sass was starting to come back when I was doing my mantras in the mirror. Like I was telling myself, you know, like I'm beautiful and I'm successful. And it was finally like registering for me. And it happened to be the same week like the skirt came. Like it was meant to be. Like the universe was like, yep, you need this skirt the same week this whole stuff was happening. Like it just needed to happen the same week. So we took the skirt out. I know, right? It was like divine intervention there. So we took the skirt out. Like I said, I live in San Francisco, and the days that I was alone with it, like, or the day I was alone with it, I told my husband, I was like, I want to go to the beach. Like, I really want to take it to the beach. I want to, like, the ocean's one of my favorite places on the planet. And I want to like have pictures with the ocean. I want to show San Francisco. And so I want to have, you know, like if we can try to get the Golden Gate Bridge in there, Lombard Street, because that's something that everybody knows, like Alcatraz, and then maybe some things that are just like a little more subdued, like some walls around town, and then maybe our house. And he was like, okay, let's go. So we pack up in the morning, this huge skirt in the back of the car, like go down to the beaches. The beaches, it was the first weekend the beaches were open. You still had to wear a mask and everything like that. And I remember we're walking across the beach. He's carrying the camera equipment. I've got this huge skirt like bundled up underneath my arm. And all these people he's like, remember when you said like you wondered why people didn't, or like you wondered why people didn't ever look at you or give you the time of day, or you wondered if people ever looked at you? He's like, well, they're looking at you now, like, because I'm carrying this skirt. And we walk to the end of the beach where these rocks are sticking out, and I climb up on top of them. I'm terrified of heights. And he's like, are you sure you want to do this? And I'm like, yes, I'm going to do it. Just give me some time. Like I'm going to get out there. So I walk out to the very edge where like it was almost like a little mermaid moment, you know, where the ocean's coming up, and I'm terrified that I'm going to get like knocked into the ocean. He's like, you're going to be fine. I'm like, okay, climb all the way up there, put the skirt on. He's down, like he goes back down and is shooting up. So you can see like the Golden Gate in the back. And I just remember like standing on top of it, and I could see everybody like watching me, and it just was like very empowering. It was very cool. Like watching, like it was like everybody was looking up to me for a moment, and it just was like, yes, like this is the moment that I needed to feel. We left the beach. We went to Lombard Street. For those of you that don't know Lombard Street, I don't know, maybe some people haven't heard of it. It's the crookedest street in the world, right? It's full of very hard left and right turns. Cobblestone Street. It's really beautiful. If you ever go to San Francisco, go check it out, especially in the spring. It's blossoming with like amazing flowers and trees. It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. But you're not supposed to walk on it. It's illegal technically. So we walked up the side, and we had taken some pictures on the side, and I was like, I want to go stand on it. And he was like, it's against the law. I'm like, I don't care. And I was like, just take the pictures. I'm like, I'm going to run out there. Tell me when there's a car. And he's like, okay. So I would run out in the middle of the street. So if you see the pictures of me on the cobblestone street, that's Lombard Street. I'm out in the middle of it. He would be like, cart. I'd pick up the skirt, come back. Like, there's a few where I'm sitting on the street, like in the middle of Lombard Street. Like, I just wanted to do it. I was like, no, I'm going to stick it to the band. Like, I'm just going to own it. And I remember
you did own it.
I was like, I'm just going to do it. Let's do this. And came back off Lombard Street, came down to the bottom. We were going to go find some streets. And I remember getting stopped by a couple. who were there with their parents, and he was like, that is a pretty massive skirt and it's really colorful. What are you doing? And I was like, hey, I'm like, first off, thanks for noticing. And it was really cool because I got to actually tell him about the Tears Tulle movement. Like I got to tell him like, well, this is what the skirt represents, and there's 52 women that are a part of this. Like we all are getting our chance to share our stories through pictures and talking about it and telling people, or telling other women it's okay to like have these dark moments and come out on the other side. Like you can be brave. It's okay to be brave. It's okay to be sad. Like, but push, And he was like, wow, that's incredibly powerful. And his wife was like, what's the website? I want to go see these pictures. And it was just really cool just to see and feel. And let's see, we moved to the next street, and I remember those are the pictures where Alcatraz is in the background, and I was standing in the street, again, illegal, right? But I was like, I'm doing it anyway. So I like stand in the middle of the street, and a car is coming down, and it was a car full of women, and they saw me in the middle of the street posing, and as I'm like running out, they were like, you are so fierce, you are so beautiful, like, yes, woman, yes, mama. Like I was like, yes, yes. Like, why can't we all be like this together? Yes. Like we need to empower and encourage other women to be like this. It was so powerful, like feel it. And we wrapped up the day. It was like, it was exhausting, of course, like carrying that skirt and like feeling it, but it was just like at the same time, like you just felt this like energy with it. Like it was a very, I don't know how to explain it. Like I think I emailed you after, like, so I kept the skirt for a couple more days because I ended up doing some photos here at home with myself. And as I wrapped up the day or my time with the skirt, and I got it all, I washed it because it got sand in it, and like straightened it back out and packed it up for the next girl.
Thank you.
I was like, I don't think the next girl really wants salt water and sand in her skirt. That's not very kind. Send it that way. So I'll wash it with water and let it air dry for a day. But as I'm packing it up and I take it to the post office to send it to the next girl, I remember being like, kind of like, I was almost like sad. Like I was like, I don't want to let it go. Like I don't want to ship it. And I think I remember messaging you right after I shipped it. Like I was like, hey, here's the tracking information. It's on its way to the next girl. Like, thanks for letting me be a part of this. And you're like, I'm so excited to see your pictures. I'm like, I'll send them right over to you. And then I was like, I didn't want to ship it. And you were like, what? And I was like, it has like this, the skirt itself has like this power to it. Like I kept referring to it as a woman, like a she or a her. Like she has this beauty and she has this grace and she has this power that like once you put it on, you feel unstoppable. Like you feel like you literally can take on anything. Like I was like, I need to just wear that skirt all day, every day. Like, and I didn't want to ship it to the next girl. So it was an incredible experience, one that I would gladly do again. And I hope that other women, even if you don't wear a skirt, like I hope that like you find whatever item or thing helps you feel that like empowerment, because it was incredible.
Thank you for sharing all that. I'm not sure everyone who listening or is watching knows, but I just finished a children's book, which is actually really meant for women to read. It was made so I could remember my own magic, but it's about the Tears Tulle movement, and it's about a baby wearing this invisible rainbow tulle skirt that she grows up with. It's magical and she can see it. And when you were just talking about your experience with giving the skirt to the next, sending the skirt to the next person, and you were talking about being seen, your Little Mermaid moment is what's sticking out in my head, that you were being seen. And then these women who came by and were yelling things out and celebrating you seeing yourself somehow. And I think you're so right when you say the skirt gives us power. It really does sort of give us this permission to really own all that color that we have inside of us. And so I think that when they were seeing you, they were also seeing it in themselves. And I think that your pictures show just such a powerful story of how we are capable of doing that we can really reconnect in that way. So many of the women have talked about feeling that an energy when they open it, just like you just explained. And I think all of you have put your love and your energy and that sort of permission and saying, okay, I can do this, I can wear this, and then sort of lighting the way for the next person to do that as well. So thank you so much for sharing your experience with wearing the skirt. I love it that it's so raw and so we're right here on top of your, you literally just sent the skirt out. So
I just shipped it like a week ago. So
yes.
Yep.
So thank you for that. I'm wondering, who in the world right now is inspiring you? Like, who do you find helps light the path for you to continue doing the work that you're doing? And so much of your business is empowering women. Who do you look to in the world?
That's a really good question. So for me, I mean, honestly, I looked a lot to moms, and especially so like, I mean, obviously, like I have like these bigger women that I like look to, like Jenna Kutcher and Rachel Hollis and Melissa Griffin and stuff like that. These are like very empowering women who like take the time to like really help other women's light shine, which I think is amazing. But I also really love to hear stories and watch women who maybe aren't as noticed or as seen as them, but like hearing other women's stories. And some of the women that I actually find the most empowering are actually single moms, because I did go through a period of my life. I mean, it wasn't like a super long period. Like I was lucky enough to only have to do it for about 2 years, but I was a single mom for part of that time. And it's hard. It's a hard job. Like people like, you have to be mom and dad, and you have to take care of your house, and you have to take care of, provide, and you have to do, and you have to find time to take care of yourself. Like that's a lot of stuff to put on one person. And those single moms are pretty dang inspiring. And a lot of my business revolves around trying to find a way to help single moms find ways and avenues to stay home with their babies. Because when I did get divorced, I was lucky enough that my business was already up and it was already going and it was super profitable, so that I didn't have to enter the workforce. Like I didn't have to like put my child back in daycare and go back to work. I was lucky enough that my business was already going. But when I did join these divorced mom groups and I was friending these single mothers, a lot of them did have to do that. And watching them struggle, oh my gosh, it just like broke my heart. And I was like, there has to be a different way. There has to be a way that they can learn that you can do things differently. Like you don't have to do it the way that they tell you to do it. So a lot of my business revolves around trying to find ways to help single moms find a different avenue so that they can be home with their babies. They don't have to go back to work. You don't have to give half your paycheck to childcare, because we all know that you need every cent that you can when you're taking care of your kids. It's hard.
Oh yeah, I am before I remarried, I was a single mom with 2 boys and 2 girls, and it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do.
Sure.
So my hat goes off to you. I think it's amazing that you are using your platform to guide in that way. So thank you for that. I can't believe we're almost at time. This is crazy. So I want our listeners to know where they can find you online and what you might be up to these days.
Sure. So I have 2 businesses. You can find me, I guess, on either one of those websites. So one is sheknowssocial.com and the other is sheknowsbiz.com. Instagram, I am Ms. like MS Teagan Charlotte. I hang out there quite a bit. What I'm up to nowadays, goodness, that's a good question. So at the moment right now, I am business coaching. So I'm trying to help other women start their businesses so that they can either have something that's their own, or find another way to help provide income, or stay home with their babies, or whatever it might be. I'm trying to work on creating like a membership platform that does teach people for a relatively cheap price how to build their own business, because it's hard and you need somebody to show you the steps. And of course, I'm being a mom. I got a 5-year-old who literally, I swear, he's like the Energizer Bunny, and he wakes up at like 8:30 and he goes from 8:30 until 8:30, and there is no downtime like in that whole entire period. So trying to keep up with him is a full-time job, and living my best life. We're trying to. I wish like everything was open here, because I'd be like all over museums and stuff like that, but just making the best of it, what you can. So
Well, great. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your experience and taking the time in the middle of what is looked at as a little crazy in the United States. Thank you for spending some time with us here today.
Of course, I wouldn't miss it for the world. So,
all right. Have a nice day.
You too.